Shall I use the narcissist for sex? Some of you may well have asked that question, or indeed decided that you would do, because the narcissist was bugger all use for anything else. It's an understandable sentiment. It is a question that crops up, or sometimes finds its basis as a statement that the victim will say, I'm just going to use the narcissist for sex now. May as well get something out of the arrangement because that was one thing that he or she was extremely good at. Sex, as you know, is a major weapon of seduction, and it is utilized by all narcissists in some shape or form for the purposes of ensnarement and manipulation. This does not mean that you will necessarily experience the Olympian delights of a particularly proficient sexual narcissist. Of course, the range of the somatic and the elite invariably does, but not always, because they might be somatic or elite for other reasons, but invariably includes considerable competence and hypersexualization. Cerebrals, a different flavour indeed, and victims, again. Victim may well be incompetent, impotent, wanting to be the one that's guided and taught. Or, alternatively, being the one that engages in it but is not particularly effective. Either way, sex always crops up in some form, whether good or bad, whether frequent or infrequent, whether kinky or vanilla, in some regards with regard to the intimate relationship between victim and narcissist. In many instances that people have experienced, the sex provided was one of the highlights of the relationship. Mind-blowing, orgasmic, frequent, intense, breathtaking. You can apply a variety of adjectives to what has occurred, and as a consequence of this, the victim, whilst realizing that they are dealing with a narcissist, or that they had been dealing with a narcissist, and no longer wanting anything to do with them because of all of the devaluing behaviors, ends up thinking to themselves, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. I know this individual is a narcissist. I get that they don't love me. But the sex was really good. I understand that they are using me. Well, I'm going to use them back. I understand that they have this pursuit of something called the prime aims. Well, my prime aim here is to get my jollies from them, to get my rocks off, to get my kicks, to scratch that itch, to do the fandango, to indulge in the nasty, make the beast with two backs, and discuss Ugandan affairs, for the purpose is at least getting something out of this ruinous coupling that has come my way. It is an understandable response. In a way, it's a coupling of a desire to get at least something out of what has fallen apart, and in a sense also a form of revenge against the narcissist. The narcissist used you, so now you're going to use them, and you'll get some pleasure out of it twofold. One, because they were decent in the sack, and two, with the knowledge that you're just using them. But should you do this? Well, of course, the thought of continuing to have sex when you know that you're dealing with a narcissist is a breach of no contact. When you become fixed with knowledge that you are dealing with a narcissist, you should obey the first golden rule of freedom, which is once you know, you go, you get out, and you stay out. And therefore, even if you are thinking about having sex with a narcissist, you are breaching no contact because you're entering into the fifth arena of interaction. If you are making arrangements with the narcissist to get down and nasty, perhaps communicating, you're breaching no contact, entering the second arena of interaction. And of course, if you're getting down and getting sweaty together, committing the act of sex, then that is a further breach of no contact because you're entering the first arena, physical interaction with the narcissist. And therefore, conceivably, you would commit at least 3 breaches of no contact with regard to arranging this. If you happen to discuss it with a friend, that would also be a breach of no contact as you tell them of your plans to go and spend the night with the narcissist. Therefore, because it is a breach of no contact and flies in the face of the first golden rule of freedom, This is not logical thinking. It is not logical because you are not staying away from the very thing that is causing you a problem. You, of course, are operating with high emotional thinking, resulting in flawed logic, causing you to think, this is okay. I'm down with what they are. I can handle them now. I know what they are. I'm just going to have sex with them and get my own back. But you're not. You're being misled. And even those of you that are listening to me now and saying, no, that's not the case, I'm completely in charge of my decision making, I know what I'm about here. You're not. You're being led by emotional thinking. Because here's what happens. First of all, you will give the narcissist fuel, which means we win. You might say, I don't care about that HG. He or she can have all the fuel they want, so long as I'm getting the bean sorted out, getting some attention, getting what I want from the narcissist sexually. I'll give them all the fuel they want. I really don't care. Maybe. But again, that's emotional thinking, because you're catering to the needs of the narcissist. You're giving us what we want, which means that we are winning. It also means that you are increasing the risk that you'll be hoovered, because, like a shark scenting blood, we're getting something that we want and need. Secondly, you run the risk of an adverse consequence. Again, you may say, not at all. I'm getting some pleasure out of this doofus. How can there be an adverse consequence? Well, there are several. The first is, you might not actually get what you want. Because if you are trying to occasion the narcissist to have sex with you, the narcissist may well perceive this as a threat to control, picking up on the fact that you are trying to manipulate the narcissist, trying to get the narcissist to do something that you want. And therefore, the narcissism as a self-defense mechanism perceives this as a threat to control and causes the narcissist to respond by nullifying that threat, and the simplest way is not to give you what you want. And therefore, your plan has failed. Not only have you been denied an evening of orgasmic delights, you're frustrated and angry that you've been foiled again. Yet, of course, if you hadn't tried to do this, this problem would not have arisen. You have brought it upon yourself. The other adverse consequence is that in so denying you this, the narcissist might turn on you and be unpleasant, which could upset you, hurt, or anger you. The other adverse consequence is this, that no matter how big round balls you might try to be about this, assuming you're an empath that's listening, you have this difficulty. Love, sex, intimacy all get bound up because of your love devotee trait. And the problem which arises for you is this. As a consequence of having a sexual relationship, you will really struggle to keep it just about the sex. Your addiction will start to tickle that love devotee trait to make you feel more, to want more. That you can't just go in there like a machine, fuck the narcissist and leave, much as you'd like to. Yes, you might do it once or twice, but then your addiction will get hold of you because you're increasing your emotional thinking. And what it will do is want you to stay a while and chat and feel fond about this person again, and then perhaps want to spend more time doing non-sexual things together. And before you know it, those feelings which you thought that you'd nailed in a box are creeping back out and are causing you problems once again. This is the plague that is visited upon you by the narcissist. This is the risk and the danger that you face. The fact remains that it is extremely difficult for an empath to compartmentalize their feelings so that they just want the sex and nothing else. Yes, you might do it once or twice or 3 times to begin with, but each interaction increases that emotional thinking, makes it more powerful, which then wants you to spend more time with the narcissist, and it will corrupt your relevant empathic and narcissistic traits to cause you to do that. And one way is to basically start to unlock the affection and love that you have for the narcissist once again. Your heart is not made of ice. And therefore, the muddling that comes along from intimacy, from sex and love and intimacy all being bound up can result in that adverse consequence. The third issue which arises, of course, is you're having an interaction with a narcissist, which means you're increasing your emotional thinking, which is only ever a bad thing. Increased emotional thinking leads to flawed decision-making and increased feelings which cause you to act upon them. And that might be missing the narcissist all of a sudden, wanting to spend more time with the narcissist, getting angry with the narcissist. Your emotional thinking is the enemy within, and all it cares about is causing you to feed the addiction. And therefore, that is something that you must watch out for. So on the face of it, it sounds like a jolly good idea, doesn't it? I'll get some sex, scratch the itch, and basically say fuck you to the narcissist and have nothing more to do with them. Unfortunately for you, it isn't that easy. Not only are you giving us things that we want, we will not make it easy for you once we recognize, and we will do, that you're trying to manipulate us. And therefore our narcissism as a self-defense mechanism, perhaps not straight away, but ultimately it will reject this threat to control. And that is the risk factor that you face. So, when you find yourself asking the question, shall I have sex with the narcissist? Shall I use the narcissist for sex? Understand this is a breach of no contact and must be resisted. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.